The text flashed on my screen, its words a cold, defiant jab to my gut. You have no proof I took anything. It was Maya Thorne. And that message arrived just 2 hours after I'd made the hardest decision of my professional life, firing her for embezzling over $50,000 from Apex Innovations. Her confidence, almost brazen, made my stomach clench. She truly believed she'd covered her tracks well enough to unleash a wrongful termination lawsuit, probably alleging discrimination, or worse, harassment. The usual playbook for someone caught red-handed. My name is Ethan Vance, and I'm 48 years old. I built Apex Innovations from a tiny office in a co-working space into a respected regional tech investment firm in Austin, Texas. It took 22 years of blood, sweat, and endless nights, transforming a dream into a company with 40 dedicated employees. I wanted to prove that some of us were different, that you could build something with integrity and still sleep at night. The early days were brutal, 16-hour days, 7 days a week. I did everything, from client pitches to cleaning the office. My ex-wife, Chloe, couldn't handle it. She said I loved the business more than our marriage. She wasn't wrong, but building something from nothing demands everything. She left in 2005, taking half of what little I had. But I kept building. Maya joined us in 2017, fresh out of the University of Texas with a finance degree. She was sharp, eager, and asked insightful questions. I saw so much of my younger self in her. Hungry, determined, willing to learn. I became a mentor to her, guiding her from a junior analyst to a senior portfolio manager. I brought her into critical client presentations, trusted her with sensitive data, even had plans to make her a junior partner by 30. That's why this betrayal cut so deep, carving a hollow space where my trust used to be. For weeks, I'd been watching the numbers. Tiny discrepancies at first. 1,000 here, 1,500 there. Amounts that could easily slip by if you weren't paying close attention. But I pay attention to every dollar that moves through Apex. You don't survive in this business by being careless with other people's money. Then came the lifestyle upgrades, a sleek new electric car last spring, designer clothes that seemed to appear weekly, weekend getaways to Napa and Aspen that screamed luxury, far beyond what a $70,000 a year salary could support. When I asked about it casually, she'd shrug it off, mentioning an inheritance from her grandmother. Seemed plausible enough. But inheritances don't typically arrive in monthly installments, wired meticulously into personal accounts. Leo Chen, my business partner, had raised concerns last fall. He's sharper, more cynical than I am. Expensive purse at the office party, Ethan. New diamond necklace. Leo's from New York City. He says everyone's running some kind of angle. I defended Maya, told Leo he was paranoid. People were allowed to spend their money. Maybe she was a brilliant saver or had some lucrative side hustle. But when the inheritance story morphed from grandmother to great-aunt to a distant cousin over 3 separate conversations, I knew something was profoundly wrong. People don't forget who left them money. That's when I called Dr. Evelyn Reed. Evelyn is a forensic accountant, a former FBI white-collar crime investigator who started her own consulting firm 5 years ago. She'd done work for us once before, expertly disproving a former employee's false commission claim. Kravrist. What she found was worse than I'd imagined. $53,427 taken over 18 months. Always small amounts, always from the accounts of clients who didn't scrutinize their statements closely. Elderly investors, busy tech executives who relied entirely on us to handle their financial lives. She'd been stealing from the most vulnerable, from people who implicitly trusted us. who trusted me. The worst part wasn't the money. We carried insurance for theft. The worst part was realizing I'd missed it for so long. She'd sat in meetings with me, discussing client portfolios, making recommendations for their financial futures, all while systematically robbing them blind. Now she wanted to take me to court. Evelyn called me at 7 a.m. on a Monday in October. Her voice was flat, devoid of emotion. "We need to meet." The tone told me everything I needed to know. This wasn't going to be good news. We met at Evelyn's downtown office. Printouts were spread across a conference table like pieces of a macabre puzzle. Bank statements, transaction logs, client account histories, 18 months of damning evidence laid out chronologically. "She's been moving money through a series of microtransactions," Evelyn explained, pointing to highlighted entries. Small amounts from dormant accounts, redirected through a shell company she created, then transferred to her personal banking. Leo whistled low. 53,420 hours that we can prove, Evelyn confirmed. I stared at the papers, a cold, hollow recognition settling in my chest. I'd been played. Someone I'd poured my heart and trust into had been stealing from our clients for over a year. "The shell company," I managed. Evelyn flipped through documents. March 2022. That hit like a punch to the gut. She'd started planning this almost immediately after I'd promoted her. All those conversations about her career goals, her appreciation for the opportunities, her excitement about becoming a partner someday. All lies. "There's more," Evelyn continued. "She's been careful about which accounts to target. Elderly clients who don't check statements. Business accounts for clients too busy to notice small discrepancies." Leo shook his head. "Calculated," Evelyn agreed. This wasn't desperation or a moment of weakness. I sank into my chair, processing the magnitude of what Maya had done. Not just to me, but to people who trusted us with their life savings, retirement funds, college accounts. Money that represented years of hard work and careful saving. She'd stolen their futures piece by piece while smiling at them during quarterly reviews. Leo asked. I looked at the evidence. Documentation that could destroy Maya's life, end her career, send her to prison. "We fire her," I said. "Today. Clean out her desk, revoke her system access, escort her from the building." "She's going to deny everything," Leo warned. "Let her," I replied, a fire igniting inside me. I had no idea how right Leo would be about her denials, or how confidently she'd try to turn the tables on us. I called Maya into my office at 2 p.m. that Tuesday. Leo was there as a witness, along with our HR manager. Standard procedure. Though this was anything but standard, Maya walked in with her usual confidence, a professional smile, tablet in hand, ready for what she assumed was a routine meeting. "Have a seat," I said. She did, crossing her legs, looking expectant. "Your employment with Apex Innovations is terminated, effective immediately," I stated, my voice steady. The smile evaporated. "What?" "We've discovered irregularities in several client accounts under your management," Leo said. Maya's face cycled through micro-expressions, confusion, then calculation, then a kind of controlled panic. "I don't understand." "Missing funds," I said. "That's impossible," she retorted quickly. "If there are discrepancies, there's system errors, banking delays." HR handed her a termination letter and a box. Maya stared at the letter without reading it. "You're making a mistake. A huge mistake." "We have documentation," I insisted. "What documentation?" That's not going to happen, Leo interjected. Maya stood up, her professional composure cracking. This is insane. I've given 6 years of my life to this company. 6 years, and you're firing me based on what? Pack your things, I said, my patience worn thin. She looked at me with something akin to betrayal in her eyes, as if I was the one who'd broken trust. You know what, Ethan? Fine. Pack my things. Walk me out like a criminal. 2 hours later, that text message arrived. The confidence in those words bothered me more than the threat itself. She genuinely believed she could beat this. Either she was delusional, or she knew something I didn't. Wednesday morning brought a call from an attorney named Marcus Thorne. His voice was expensive, his address downtown, the kind of lawyer who charges by the minute for phone calls. Mr. Vance, I represent Maya Thorne regarding her wrongful termination from your firm. My client was dismissed without cause and without following proper procedures. She was terminated for theft, I said, my voice tight. Alleged theft, Mr. Vance, Marcus corrected smoothly. My client denies any wrongdoing. That stopped me cold. I'm not at liberty to discuss the details over the phone, but I'm sure you understand the seriousness of these allegations. I felt the ground shifting under my feet. This wasn't just about the money anymore. Maya was trying to turn herself into the victim, paint me as the aggressor, use the legal system to hide her crimes behind a shield of civil rights violations. Your client stole over $50,000 from our client accounts, I said, my voice rising. That's a very serious accusation to make without proof, Mr. Vance. Marcus replied, his tone chillingly calm. I hope you have documentation to support such claims. After he hung up, I sat in my office, staring at the phone. Maya wasn't just denying the theft. She was actively building a defense strategy that would make me look like the criminal. Harassment, discrimination, wrongful termination, all designed to muddy the waters and create reasonable doubt. It was brilliant in a sociopathic way. I called Evelyn. Evelyn was quiet for a moment. Thorne's good, expensive, but good. The kind where we need to be absolutely certain about our evidence before we proceed. Evelyn worked through the night, double-checking every piece of evidence. When she called the next morning, her voice was grim. We need to meet. This time, we met at my attorney's office. Sophia Diaz had been handling legal matters for Apex Innovations since 2007. She was conservative, methodical, never promised more than she could deliver. If Sophia looked worried, I knew we had problems. Walk me through what you found, Sophia said to Evelyn. Evelyn spread out the documents again, but this time I noticed gaps. Missing transaction records, incomplete paper trails. Evidence that should have been ironclad, but wasn't. The problem is digital forensics, Evelyn explained. Maya was smart enough to cover her tracks in the system. She deleted transaction logs, modified backup files, even corrupted some of the archived data. Leo asked. That's where it gets interesting, Evelyn said. The company exists, but it's not registered under her name. If Maya claimed she didn't know about the company or that Steiner was acting independently, it created reasonable doubt. Sophia leaned back in her chair. So we can prove money went missing, and we can prove it ended up in an account connected to her boyfriend. Exactly, Evelyn said. And there's something else. I did some background checking on Thorne. I felt my stomach drop. Maya's building a narrative where she discovered irregularities in client accounts, reported them internally, and was fired for asking too many questions. Leo exploded. Sophia asked. Evelyn was quiet for a long moment. With what we have now, it would be close. I stared at the conference table, feeling everything I'd built over 22 years hanging in the balance. Maya had planned this better than I'd realized. Not just the theft, but the cover-up, the legal strategy, the public relations nightmare of being accused of retaliating against a whistleblower. There has to be something else, I said, my voice barely a whisper. Evelyn nodded slowly. There might be, but it's going to take time, and it's going to require resources. Sophia asked. I asked. Evelyn named a figure that made Leo whistle in disbelief. But there's another option, she continued. We could settle. Pay Maya's legal fees, give her a severance package, make this go away quietly. I thought about that for exactly 3 seconds. No. Ethan, Sophia warned, this could get very expensive, very public, and very messy. She stole from our clients, I said, my voice firm. From people who trusted us with their life savings. Then we fight, Evelyn said, a rare smile touching her lips. But we do it smart. No more confrontations, no more public statements. I asked. Evelyn's smile widened. We finished what we started. Evelyn's plan was methodical and quiet. No dramatic confrontations, no public accusations. Just careful, systematic investigation designed to uncover the truth Maya thought she'd buried. The first step was digital forensics. Evelyn brought in a specialist from Denver, a former NSA analyst who understood how to recover deleted data from corrupted systems. It took 2 weeks, but they managed to reconstruct most of the transaction logs Maya had deleted. The recovered data was damning, not just the stolen money, but the chilling planning that went into it. Maya had researched each target account thoroughly before making withdrawals. She'd studied client patterns, identified optimal timing for transfers, even calculated how long she could steal from each account before the discrepancies would be noticed. But Evelyn wasn't satisfied with digital evidence alone. She wanted human intelligence. Alex Steiner is the weak link, she explained during one of our weekly strategy meetings. 26 years old, no previous business experience, suddenly operating a consulting company that's received $53,000 in mysterious payments. He's not a criminal mastermind, I asked. I want to talk to him, Evelyn replied. Not officially, not as part of any investigation. Evelyn's approach was brilliant in its simplicity. She contacted Steiner's shell company, posing as a potential client seeking financial consulting services. Alex, eager for legitimate business, agreed to a meeting at a coffee shop in downtown Austin. Evelyn recorded the conversation. Alex had no idea who Evelyn really was, and no idea that his girlfriend was facing embezzlement charges. When Evelyn asked about the company's previous clients and revenue sources, Alex was surprisingly forthcoming. Most of our income has come from one client, Alex admitted. Financial services work. My girlfriend Maya set it up. Evelyn probed gently. Asset transfers, mostly. Moving money between different investment accounts for their clients. Alex had no idea he was confessing to money laundering. He genuinely believed he was running a legitimate consulting business, helping Apex Innovations with regulatory compliance. Maya had convinced him that the stolen money was legitimate payment for services rendered. When Evelyn played me the recording, I felt a mix of anger and satisfaction. Anger at how thoroughly Maya had manipulated everyone around her, satisfaction that we finally had the smoking gun we needed. But the best evidence came from an unexpected source: Maya herself. 2 weeks after our meeting with Alex, Maya made a crucial mistake. She tried to access the Apex Innovations computer system remotely, using login credentials that should have been deactivated when we fired her. Our IT security system flagged the attempted breach immediately. More importantly, it traced the access attempt to Maya's home IP address and logged exactly which files she tried to access, the same client accounts she'd been stealing from. Evelyn asked rhetorically. Sophia reviewed all the evidence. The recovered transaction logs, Alex's recorded confession, the attempted system breach, and the paper trail connecting the shell company to Maya's personal finances. "This is enough," she said finally. "More than enough?" I asked. Sophia smiled. "We call Thorne and invite him to review our documentation." Sophia called Marcus Thorne on a Friday afternoon in November. I was in Sophia's office, listening on speakerphone as she laid out our evidence in precise, methodical detail. "We have recovered transaction logs showing systematic theft over 18 months, Mr. Thorne," Sophia began. "We have recorded admissions from the owner of the shell company that received the stolen funds. We have attempted computer intrusion by your client, targeting the very same accounts she allegedly never touched." Thorne was quiet for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice had lost its earlier confidence. "We're prepared to share everything with the appropriate authorities, Mr. Thorne," Sophia continued, unyielding. "The FBI has a dedicated white-collar crime unit here in Austin." "That won't be necessary," Thorne said quickly. The call ended. Sophia looked at me across her desk. I asked, "Because Thorne is too smart to take a losing case to trial." Thorne called back Monday morning. Sophia asked. "Those allegations appear to have been based on misunderstandings." Sophia ended the call and looked at me. But I wasn't satisfied with just making the lawsuit disappear. Maya had stolen from our clients. She'd tried to destroy my reputation and my business. She'd manipulated her naive boyfriend into becoming an unwitting accomplice in money laundering. Someone needed to face consequences for all of that. I called the FBI. Special Agent Maxwell met with me the following Wednesday. He reviewed Evelyn's meticulous evidence, listened to Alex Steiner's recorded confession, and examined the documentation Sophia had prepared for Maya's defense team. "This is a solid case, Mr. Vance," Agent Maxwell said. "Wire fraud, money laundering, computer intrusion?" I asked. "We'll need to interview witnesses, gather additional evidence, present the case to a federal prosecutor. Months, probably." Maya was arrested 3 weeks later at her upscale apartment in downtown Austin. They recovered computers, financial records, and additional damning evidence of the money laundering operation. Alex cooperated immediately, providing testimony about Maya's role in setting up the shell company and directing the financial transactions. He received immunity in exchange for his cooperation. Maya's new attorney negotiated a plea agreement. 18 months in federal prison, full restitution to the affected clients, and 5 years of supervised probation. She would also be permanently barred from working in the financial services industry. It mentioned that Apex Innovations had discovered the theft through internal auditing procedures and had cooperated fully with federal investigators. I framed that article and hung it in my office, not because I was proud of what happened, but because I wanted to remember that trust, once broken, has devastating consequences. Looking back, the entire ordeal was a crucible. It tested my resilience, my commitment to Apex, and my belief in human decency. I poured my life into building something honest, something that mattered. And for a moment, it felt like it was all crumbling because of one person's deceit. The biggest lesson: trust is a gift, not a given, and vigilance is its constant companion. I had always prided myself on my ability to see the best in people, to mentor and empower my team. But that very optimism almost became my downfall. I wanted to believe Maya. I wanted to see her succeed. And that desire clouded my judgment when the warning signs were subtle. My gut told me something was off, but I rationalized it away, attributing it to her success or unseen fortune. Always listen to your gut. It's the quiet voice of experience, whispering truth. Another profound realization was the importance of strong systems and even stronger people around you. Evelyn and Sophia were not just professionals. They were bastions of integrity and meticulousness. They reminded me that even when one person betrays you, there are many more who uphold honesty and justice. Surround yourself with people who challenge you, who see things you might miss, and who are unwavering in their principles. And finally, integrity is non-negotiable. It wasn't about the money at that point. It was about upholding the values Apex was built on, the values I was built on. It was about standing up for those who trusted us, for our elderly clients whose life savings were jeopardized, for the very idea that honesty in business is not just a dream, but a necessity. The path to justice was long, expensive, and emotionally draining. But it was the only right path. Building something honest in a world that often rewards dishonesty requires constant vigilance. It demands difficult decisions, painful confrontations, and an unwavering commitment to your core values. But let me tell you, when you stand firm, when you fight for what's right, and when you ultimately see justice served, the peace of mind you gain is priceless. It's a testament that integrity, though sometimes challenged, will ultimately prevail. So, if you've ever felt betrayed, or if you're building something of your own, remember my story. Stay vigilant, trust your instincts, and never compromise your integrity. If this story resonated with you, if it offered a glimpse into the challenges of building trust and overcoming betrayal, please hit that like button. Subscribe to my channel for more insights on business, leadership, and life lessons. Share this story with anyone who might benefit, and leave a comment below with your thoughts or your own experiences with broken trust. Let's build a community that values honesty and resilience.